Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yanique Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, we have with us a very special guest, and his name is Joshua Latimer. Joshua left his job as a banker for J.P. Morgan Chase to start a cleaning business in Michigan, which he eventually grew and sold to a California-based cleaning conglomerate in 2015. Now he is living in Costa Rica with his 4 kids and wife, where he helps small business owners from all over the world understand the power of business systems and automation and the freedom that they can bring. Joshua is the founder of AutomateGrowSell.com, an online training platform for small local service businesses, as well as SendGym.com, a follow-up automation tool for busy professionals. So, without further delay, welcome, Joshua.
Hey, I'm so happy to be with you. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
You're welcome. So we usually like to start the podcast off. We've actually started a new activity. So we ask our guests, the first thing we ask them is, what is your zodiac sign?
I think I'm a Scorpio, although I haven't put a lot of time into totally being sure on that. I was born in November. Is that right?
Yeah. Were you born in the early part or the late part?
The late part.
Okay. So you're probably a
18.
Sagittarius. Oh, no, you would be a Scorpio. Okay. So have you found...
All right. Is that good?
Yeah, of course. All the signs are great. But what we're trying to do is to identify if there are any customer experience or customer service traits that you found as a Scorpion, if you're familiar with Zodiac Signs, that is, that you found that have definitely helped to develop your personality. Are there any similarities that you think you have according to what they say Scorpions are like?
I'm not really sure on exactly what they would say a Scorpio or Scorpion is like. All I know is that most of the things I've learned about customer service came through pain and suffering and lots of mistakes and slowly. Pain is an excellent teacher, by the way, for young and old, and it never can stop. But no, on a serious note, I think slowly over time realizing who I was as a person and what a good fit for my personality type was and wasn't, partnering with the right types of people who are different than I am. It definitely took me a while to figure that out, but customer service or serving people at a high level, you have to mirror your customer sometimes, and it can be difficult at times, but if you have a diverse team, I feel like you can meet almost every need.
Great. Now, could you tell us a little bit about your journey, how it is that you've left, in your intro, it said that you left your job as a banker. Could you tell us how it is that you transitioned from doing that into what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. Well, what happened was, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, so to speak, but I was the first one in my family to be an entrepreneur. So when I started my first business, I was 18 years old and my parents went on vacation. And when they came home, I had used a credit card to buy 14 candy machines. And their whole garage is full of candy machines.
Wow.
And, I had no discipline. I had no real focus or wisdom or knowledge in business. I just had this desire for it. But I got a lot of pushback from friends and family saying, what are you doing? Go get a job. This is crazy. Just be a normal person. And so I kind of caved to that pressure for many years, like a lot of your listeners probably either have or are still doing, going to work at a thing you're not passionate about because it's what you're quote unquote supposed to do. I did that for a while, but then when my wife got pregnant with our first child, we have 4 now. So my house is pure chaos, by the way. But when she was pregnant, I had my come to Jesus moment where I said, all right, Josh, you deep down, you're a square peg in a round hole and you want to start a business. I felt like it was now or never at that time. So I decided to start a cleaning business. And my mom was so mad at me, she wouldn't talk to me for a week, actually. And that's an absolutely true story. And I love my mom and she loves me. But she was so freaked out that I was going to start a business, rather than having the quote unquote safe and secure job, which is a misnomer, by the way. But that's how it started in the beginning.
Wow. So you started the cleaning business, and is that the same business that you sold to a California-based cleaning conglomerate in 2015?
Yes, it was, which isn't that a weird business to sell to a California-based cleaning conglomerate? But it's true. It's actually a great business. It's a repeat service. There's high margins, and it's a niche service. So it's a good business, but it's tricky to scale it. And actually, one of the reasons it's so hard is because you're inside people's homes, and to have the right systems and protocols. When you have dozens of employees and you're doing tens of thousands of dollars in revenue a week or a day sometimes, it's very tricky to keep that thing tight enough to where it's operating at a high level, going in and out of people's homes. It's an intimate thing. So that's kind of where the tricky part is to scale a cleaning business. But you can absolutely do it, and we eventually did, and we're very blessed by it.
Very good. So what prompted you to move to Costa Rica? Because I'm assuming that you're American, correct?
Yep. From Michigan, born and raised, really never went anywhere, and then decided, you know what, we're going to move all of my kids and my poor wife, and we're going to go to Central America. It was a couple-year process. I mean, look, I want my kids to know that the world is a big place, and I want my kids to be bilingual and to understand that the world doesn't revolve around them. Intelligent risk and start businesses and do things and live a big life because that's who I am, and I want to pass that on to them because the world is a big place, and there are people all over the planet getting up and doing stuff all day and starting companies and getting married, and as an American, it's really easy to not even think of that or not even realize that. We're only a small percentage of the world's population, so I can only help my family, I believe, to open our eyes and expand our horizons a little bit in terms of culture and things.
Very good. I really respect and appreciate the fact that you said all that, because it's so true. Sometimes we're caught in our own countries and in our own world, and we believe that that's just it. And there's so much more out there to be experienced.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly can say, Yanique, that I was so self-centered in a business perspective and a how smart I thought I was perspective, it's almost embarrassing. And I look around at my colleagues and other Americans, we don't do it on purpose, but we slowly become like that over time. We live in a bubble a little bit. And so going down to Costa Rica and engaging with people that make $2 an hour and have, they're terrified to start a tiny little business and to understand the cultural differences and to see what I can offer there and to learn from them as well. It's been an amazing thing. It's been amazing. And because my new businesses are web-based, I have the ability to do that, which is amazing because as long as I have internet, I can kind of work from wherever.
Mm-hmm. The power of the internet. So that dovetails nicely into my next question. Now, your expertise is in automating, growing, and selling. And I wanted you to share with us, why is it so important in a business, especially if you're going to deliver a quality customer experience, one that's exceptional? Why is it important to have systems, and how do those systems actually help to maximize on your customer experience?
Well, systems are only important if you actually like your business and you don't want to be a slave to it. If you actually want to make real money without you doing everything yourself, we got to take a hard look at systems and automation. Look, that sounds really fancy. It's not that fancy. It's very, very simple. And from the standpoint of customer service, a lot of small businesses shoot from the hip. And the founder or the owner, the person who's kind of holding it all together, they're the glue. They're smart. I mean, the people listen to this. If you've got a small business, most of you guys are very sharp, you're very talented, and you're holding it together. The problem is, though, is that you're exhausted, and as your business scales, it gets harder and harder and harder to hold it all together, and things start dropping. You start dropping the ball. Your customer service experience goes down, but you don't even realize it's down because you can't possibly pay attention to 32 different areas in your business at the same time at a high level. And so what a system is, it's you taking a step back and being intentional and predefining the way that you do something in your business. For example, if someone's really mad at you and they think your company stinks, there should be a process for that. Okay, they call, email, or Facebook you. These days, probably Facebook, so the whole world will see how much they hate you. And then, excuse me, once that happens, what's triggered inside of your business? Most people today, they just kind of randomly will see the message and then they'll say, oh no, and then they'll just do some stuff or they'll email them back, but it's not standardized, it's not systemized, it's not thought through in advance. That's what a system is. It's going through all the little pieces in your business and being intentional. I love the word intentional about how you're going to do this at a high level, and then, writing it down and then deploying it to your team and being consistent with it over time. Once you do that in all the parts of your business, the sky's the limit.
Right. So you spoke a while ago, more so in a general term. Could you give us a specific example of something that happened? Let's use the example of the complaint, for example, and the customer complains on Facebook. Let's say you're a pharmacy, and the customer complains that the attendant that was at the makeup counter was extremely rude. She was not paying attention to what I was asking her, and she was completely preoccupied. How could we put that in a system in a real way that our listeners could understand practically? So when they come off of this podcast, maybe there's some practical stuff they could be doing differently.
Okay, sure thing. Definitely. Well, first of all, my philosophy is that you run towards problems. So one of my company core values that would already have been established before we build the system would be to have a way to know that Facebook and the email, the support customer service email account, and our customer support phone number were checked really quickly ongoing. So part one of your system might include using some software or assigning maybe a low-level administrative task person to constantly check these messages on a 15-minute recurring basis as part of her workflow. Maybe she does other work, but she's always refreshing that Facebook feed, for example, right? Because you want to be present and you want to be very responsive with customer service. That would be number one. Number two would be if something happens where someone's happy, that would trigger all of this other stuff. But what we're going to talk about is if someone's not happy, it's going to trigger these other things. So I would give them a script, a predefined script, not robotic, very human, very fun, very taking responsibility. I would create a script for them to send back to the Facebook person, and it would be within the 15-minute window, right? Because we are step one is the system of checking it all the time. I would probably have our employees, take responsibility, tell the customer, I have the authority to make this right for you. We're going to be on this. Here's my personal cell phone number. Here's my email address. We're going to be reaching out to you. We're all over this. Thank you so much for telling us that this happened. This is a huge help to us. Something like that. Then step three would be for us to go find this person in real life. So whether we review the orders from the time that the message was sent and we try to find them and then find their phone, whatever it is, we will run and sprint towards that problem as a team. Step four might be to document the whole situation in our CRM or our support ticket software, or whatever we're using, so we have a historical record of the complaint that was made and anybody that was involved in it, right? Step five might be during your weekly team meetings, you review the previous week's incidents and see if they were resolved satisfactorily, or if we can tighten things up, or if the script needs to be changed, or if we're doing our very, very best. So that would be a simple Word doc that described everything. But the hard part with the system, Yanique, is getting your team to do it that way every single time. And the way that you accomplish that is by being relentless in your pursuit of sticking to the system in your own life as a leader. Mm-hmm. So when you're constantly going back there and reiterating and reaffirming, it will work. But people give up too quick sometimes with it.
True. So you made a very important point. It's important for the leader to walk the talk, correct?
Oh, man. Look, people are watching. And the presidential debate was last night, right? So
yes,
we see all these people talking and flapping their mouth, right? But the meat of your leadership ability comes in the way that you actually behave and execute in your own role. And everybody's watching you, your family, your kids, everybody. So you got to be high level, because everyone below you will do exactly what you do except a little bit less. So if the starting place If the bar isn't high enough in step one, by the time you're 12 layers deep in this thing and you have, all these staff members, the customers dealing with all the 12th layer employees at the bottom, they're going to get a very low level experience because the bar wasn't raised high enough by the leadership in the beginning.
Wow, that is so true. So leadership, you as a leader, you have to walk the talk, and this, you went through the different steps in the system, which are very simple and easy. Just listening to what you were saying, it's something that anyone, regardless of your size, even if you only have 2 employees, can implement with immediate effect, right? Doesn't cost a lot of money, and the steps are basic. They're very basic in terms of implementation.
They're very basic. It's all about intentionality. I hate to be a broken record. Look, everybody that's listening to this, you already have systems. You just don't know that you have systems. The pharmacy that doesn't have a written down 5-step thing like I just described, they have a system. It's hopefully at some point someone will check the Facebook, and when someone's mad, they won't even reply because they're scared. And then they'll send an email to their boss like, hey, someone's mad on Facebook. And then the next day the boss, he was off that day. So then he returns it on Monday, and he's like, well, reply back to him and tell him we're sorry. And then on Monday, you see what I'm saying? That is a disorganized mess, but technically it's a system right now.
True.
If you don't follow up with your customers after you do business with them, if you don't relate and have a relationship with them after the sale, you have a zero touch follow-up system, which is horrible, but that's your deal, right? So it's not about well. Are they going to get me closer to the finish line of what I'm trying to do here?
Amazing. Okay. Now, in terms of what you do in your business, could you explain a little bit to us about what you do in automategrowsell.com in terms of your your online training platform? Could you share a little bit about that for us?
Yeah, sure. What I do is, in my little weird niche of window cleaning and pressure cleaning, over time, people knew who I was in my industry, right? It's a very niche-y, weird industry, but I would get a lot of requests to do business consulting or to fly in somewhere and help them go through and systemize and automate and really dig in and rip the guts out and look at how can we fix this business? Where's it broken? How can we scale? How can we grow? I got a lot of requests to do that. I don't have time to do that. Like I said, I have 4 kids, and my primary business is my software company. So what I did is I created Automate, Grow, Sell. It's for local service companies, and it helps you go through basically 6 months of how do I go front to back, top to bottom through the entire architecture of my company. How do I systemize it? How do I do this? It's a private community. They get a couple coaching calls with me, and there's over 50 videos shot in Costa Rica with homework and documents and samples and all kinds of that. That's what that is. It's like it's an educational product for service companies to help them stop being a slave to their small business.
Gotcha. Wow. And your model, I'm assuming, once you're service-based, regardless of where you are in the world, this program is applicable, correct?
Yeah, I just tend to specialize with service companies. I know I keep saying that, but, the customer life cycle and the way to, engage it after the sale and the way to get, maximum profitability specifically to like home service businesses, lawn care and landscaping and carpet cleaners. And I have some other people in the boot camp too. But that's kind of the core of who it's really tailored to be speaking to if you decide to take it.
Okay. So you're primarily in service-based businesses, right? And you have some experience with service delivery in a Central American country as well as in a North American country. And I'm sure you've traveled to other parts of the world. Based on your own experiences as a business owner and as a customer, how do you feel about customer experience on a global level?
Whew. That's a very interesting question. I'll tell you. I'll tell you that people in Central America are a lot less stressed out than people here, and that includes the employees of companies. I almost started a pest control company in Costa Rica here a few months ago, and I still might invest in something like that. Here's the deal with the way that Central America customer service works. Everyone's really, really nice while they provide you with horrible customer service, okay, as a blanket statement, okay, which is not always true, of course. But in general, I'd say it's a strong trend. The people down there are not entrepreneurial. So they don't look at things the same way that we do. I didn't realize how entrepreneurial North Americans were until I lived in Central America. And so I think we have a lot of work to do in North America in terms of getting our service back to the way it was, decades ago, and really being, high level with our enthusiasm and the way that we take care of our customers. But I still feel like we're way light years ahead of the businesses down there. They just don't quite understand the power in those types of things. They're all commodity based businesses. They have a thing or a service. You give them money, they give you the thing or the service, and that's it. There's very little attention paid to the way that I feel doing business with the company, what happens after I do business with the company. There's very little attention paid to the perceived value, the branding, the marketing, the uniforms, or whatever with the company. They just don't quite get that. For someone that does, it's a huge advantage. But I just don't see it very often down there.
Wow. Do you think it's a cultural thing?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a cultural thing. Costa Rica is an amazing place. And again, I want to be really clear. I love Costa Ricans. I've learned a lot from Costa Ricans because the world is not about making more money, okay? But from a business perspective, there's a lot of work to be done down there. And there's a reason there's really no middle class. There's rich Costa Ricans. There's very poor Costa Ricans. The government kind of takes care of everybody. The government is daddy. It's a socialized country. The government pays for everything, does everything. And so there's not like people destitute on the streets, but they also have a very limited ceiling on what they can accomplish in their life. For example, if a young, poor Costa Rican wants to start a business, the paperwork, the regulation, the process is nightmarish, okay, with all the government bureaucracy. But on top of that, when they try to start the business, all their friends and family are going to say, no, what are you doing? You're going to lose your savings. Don't do that. No, that's too risky, even if it's like the most simple business ever. So there's a lot of pulling you back down going on. And so the mentality there, they love each other, they're warm people, but they live in fear in terms of entrepreneurism, and they don't know how to make money as a people. They just don't get it. And so the very few people that do exploit it. The government exploits it. There's huge corruption in all of Central America, including Costa Rica. And so the people building the roads and doing all that stuff, of course, they're richer than you can ever imagine, while everyone else, goes to the grocery store and buys 2 eggs at a time because they can't buy a whole dozen.
Wow. So there's a lot of opportunity for helping that society to really advance and understand that they really do have the power as a customer. They should be demanding greater service, and if they have great ideas, they should be developing those into businesses that can help to grow the economy.
Yeah, I mean, yes, there's so much opportunity. The frustrating part is if you go start a company down there, the employee pool, okay, is full of people who, if they don't show up to work one day, like they're super nice about it. They're just like, oh yeah, no, don't worry, I'm not coming to work today, but I'll come tomorrow, so it's okay. Like they think that's okay, and so they're not like disrespecting you. They're just not doing the correct stuff. And so because that's normal and it's mainstreamed, it's tricky to find really high level, crush it type employees. So the few employees that are really awesome, or they're bilingual, or they're really sharp and they really get it, man, the small businesses down there fight for people like that. So there's definitely some hurdles, although yes, there is opportunity.
Right. Amazing. Okay, so I love that overview that you gave us of how you feel about customer experience on a global level, especially based on your experience in 2 different parts of the world. You're definitely able to have a contrasting opinion. Now, in all the things that you do every day as a dad, as an entrepreneur, as an employer, how do you manage to stay motivated every day despite all of the challenges that you may be faced with?
I think my kids, well, you know what? That sounds like a cliche answer, although it is true. Look, I'm motivated because I'm blessed, because I'm thankful, because I'm happy that I wake up every day. I mean, I wake up and it's a big deal. I wake up and I have more stuff I can accomplish, more people I can serve. I think having motivation, it's easier to be motivated, if your baseline personality is rooted in gratitude. because there's so many people I can serve, including my staff. There's so many ideas I want to execute on. There's so many things I want to build, and I want my children, my family to participate and all that stuff. So motivation to me isn't something you focus on. Motivation is a byproduct of correct thinking. And correct thinking starts with getting your eyes off yourself every second and looking at, everything you're blessed with and all the people around you that you can serve.
True. That's true. So customer service starts with yourself, huh? In terms of just how you think and the added value that you can give to other people. And gratitude is so important.
Yeah, I'm standing in my office right now, and I have a little whiteboard at my door. And it says, today I'm thankful for, and then there's a line. And I have a dry erase marker. I write something new on it every day. And it's a silly one tiny little thing, right? But we have to remind ourselves how blessed and fortunate and lucky we are. It's very easy to feel sorry for yourself, even if you're doing successful stuff, even if you're in America. I mean, poor people in America are rich if you compare it to the world, okay? But it's very easy to sit around and say, oh, man, poor me. I only have this, but everybody else has that. Or my job, I hate, but it's impossible because everybody's keeping me down. Look, it's just not true. So your inner perspective, the way you view the world, it's true to you, whichever way you go. And if you have the correct thinking, you're going to get more and more motivated over time.
Wow. Now, what are some important considerations for an entrepreneur or an online business owner to be successful?
What are some what? I'm sorry, what was the characteristic you said?
Sorry, some important considerations for an entrepreneur.
Oh, considerations.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, you see, now I have a software company, right? So I did the local hometown business, started with nothing. I mean, we almost starved to death my first year. Eventually grew that to, being very successful, almost doing $200,000 a month in window cleaning, which is crazy. And then I started this app, and I'm going through that process right now. I have employees all over the world. I've raised money from investors. That's a whole different animal. So some considerations are this. Number one, you have to count the cost. People love to underestimate what they're capable of achieving in a lifetime, but they overestimate what they're capable of achieving in a year, okay? And almost everybody does this. And with a small business, for it to work, man, you cannot quit. You have to stay in the game. It takes time. It does not happen by osmosis instantaneously 24 hours later. So I think people need to be very real with themselves on the pain that will be involved, the sacrifice that will be involved, and how much sacrifice will be required for them to win. So that's what I mean by count the cost. The second thing, the consideration is to get a mentor. You need to be around sharp people, like-minded people that are 3 levels above you. If you're the smartest person out of all your friends, you need to get some new friends, right? If you're the smartest person in a room, you need to get a new room. Wow. You got to stay sharp. You have to surround yourself with people that add value to your life. And not people that suck the life out of you. If you have negative family and friends and you're going to start a business, you better be very seriously considering cutting that off like the cancer that it is if you're going to be really serious about your business. So there's a couple off the top of my head. There's more, but those are big ones.
Great tips. Awesome tips. So count the cost and surround yourself with people that can add value to you. Get a mentor.
Definitely. Yep.
What's the one online resource, tool, website, or app that you could not live without in your business?
Well, other than my own app, which would be such a lame answer for me to say, I would say Trello. We use Trello every single day. We have a ton of online tools we use, but Trello is really cool. It's free, and it helps you organize tasks and to-dos and projects and different things using these little cards and these little boards. It's Trello.com. Great company, great app, and again, it's free.
Nice. Okay. What are some of the books that have had the biggest impact on you?
Well, the Bible, for sure. I have it sitting right here, right on my desk. So that's by far the number one book in terms of business and life and relationships and systems. The Bible is a book on systems, how to live your life. How do you want to get closer to God? You want to be a better dad? You want to, have a better business? That's where you go. But there's also another book, a business book that I read recently called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And he's the founder of Keller Williams Realty. And The One Thing is very simple. It's a book trying to help you understand the importance of focusing on one high-level important thing at a time while you're moving through your business and trying to achieve success. And a lot of us do 7 things at the same time, and we never really get anywhere, but we go home exhausted every day. And the key is to prioritize things and to bite off one singular thing at a time until it's complete. Go to the next one. Until that's complete, go to the next one. It's really, really important, and it's what all the highest achievers in the world do. And the book helps explain that.
Wow. I do remember a past guest, as a matter of fact, I think his episode was released last week, giving the same example. And I remember one of the things I said to him was, I read in a book, maybe when I was in college, that said that it's not humanly possible for you to do 2 things at the same time at 100%. So I can definitely see the concept that Gary was trying to get across in terms of really being intentional in completing an activity that to the best of your ability, and by doing so, just focusing on that activity for that period of time.
Right, exactly. The first page of the book says, if you chase 2 rabbits, you will not catch either one.
Exactly.
And it's like a Russian proverb, which is funny because I didn't know they had Russian proverbs until I read that in the book. I'm like, oh, okay, there's a proverb guy in Russia. Awesome. But it's true. And here's the ugly truth, Yanique, is that building a successful company is boring. And it's not always sexy. And you're not always on fire with motivation. It's about setting and accomplishing goals, period. 1 thing, then 2 things, and 3 things, and 4 things. Then you get a setback, and then you got to be relentless and resilient and not quit and keep going. Then you set and accomplish another goal. That's the way that you do it if you want to really crush it. But most of us are too concerned with checking Facebook 300 times a day or checking our email 95 times a day. I just heard a stat yesterday: the average person checks their email 95 to 130 times a day. Wow. That's crazy. And so our ability to focus is really bad, especially with technology now. So even me personally, this is something I'm working on to get tighter into, because it's not about working hard. It's about being productive. Those are not the same thing. And if you want to move quickly to success, you have to be highly productive. And that means doing all the boring stuff that no one wants to talk about, doing the right thing when no one's looking, shutting down the distractions, and getting crap done until it's done. 1 thing at a time.
True. Very true. All right. Now, we have a lot of listeners who are business owners and managers who feel they have great products and services, but they lack the constantly motivated human capital. If you were sitting across the table from that person, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them to have a successful business?
Okay, so if I'm understanding your question correctly, the person I'm sitting across the table with is not motivated. Is that right?
No,
all the time.
They're motivated, but they lack the constantly motivated human capital. So that would be the persons that work alongside them. If
Gotcha.
they see a vision, they're clear in their head in terms of what they want for their business, but for some reason the persons that are working on their team, they're lacking that constant motivation.
Gotcha.
What would you
Perfect.
say to them?
Well, what I would say is that they're doing almost a guarantee they're doing a very poor job as a leader laying out the vision. You said that they have the vision, but the people around them aren't motivated. Look, you having the vision is useless to you, okay? The Bible says without a vision, my people perish, right? And your company's going to perish if you don't have a vision in the same way. And so if your staff is disinterested, demotivated, not focused, not emotionally engaged, it's always the 100% fault of the leadership. Now, look, you can have a bad apple once in a while, but if there's a trend, you have to take responsibility and fix the trend. So you need to cast your vision more effectively. You need to help your staff understand what's in it for them. This is who we are. This is where we're going. This is why we're going there. And this is what's in it for you, Mr. Employee, Mrs. Employee, when we get there, and continuously, ravenously reiterating that same vision. is what's required. You don't have one meeting a year, tell everybody to get fired up, and then wonder why they're disinterested 90 days later. You have to be driving the train. You're standing at the front of the crowd, pulling your troops with you. And when you have real relationships with them, when you understand who they are as humans, and you're coaching them and doing all that stuff, they will go to war for you. But these types of issues really always fall on the shoulders of the leader. They just don't like to admit that. They want the ominous ether of black nothingness to take the blame. They want to say, well, there's just no good help out there. There's no good employees, because that's an easy way out. Mm-hmm. It's just not true.
That is true. I love it. Okay. So, Josh, I want you to tell us one thing that's going on in your life right now that you are really excited about, something that you're either working on to develop yourself or your people.
Well, it's definitely sendjim.com. SendJim is an app that lets you send postcards and emails and gifts and letters and all kinds of things from your cell phone. So I built this app actually with my business partner, Chris, for my own company before we sold it, and we're just going to use it internally. What it does is it automates your follow-up process with your customers. So when you're done doing business with a customer, you can push a button on this phone and it will automatically physically mail them, a thank you card and an appointment reminder card 6 months later, and an ask for referrals letter or email 3 months later. And it does all of that stuff without you touching it. It's a total system. And I'm excited about it because it's helping. First of all, it's growing really quickly, but we just have a lot of updates coming this fall. It's been a lot of fun. I'm in the middle of a new business. It's interesting to learn all the mistakes I'm making, all the success we're having as we go through this process with this particular company. And we're just having a lot of fun.
Awesome. So sendjim.com, is it on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store?
Yep. It's a mobile app and a web app. You can go to the website or you can just download it. And actually, you can download it for free and send yourself a postcard or whatever you want just to check it out. It's just a great relationship marketing tool for people. That's what it is. It's really a simple concept. Most people don't follow up with their customers after they do business with them. And that is a ginormously horrible mistake. Your current customers are your biggest asset. So we need to stay engaged with them. We need to follow up with them. We need to love on them. It's like you get married to your wife and you tell her you love her the wedding day, but you don't say it again for 5 years. She's going to be pretty upset. For our own self, because we had, 4,000 customers and trying to manage it all was tricky. This makes it so simple to do that, which in turn makes you a lot more money.
Wow. Amazing. I love it. Okay. Now, can you tell our listeners where they can find you online if they want to connect with you further after listening to this interview?
Sure. You can go to automatejosh.com. That's really easy. Automate Josh. And that has links to, all my stuff, blog posts. I have a podcast too. You can find that there. If you're interested in Send Jim, there'll be a link to that there. Everything's kind of under that one umbrella.
Very cool. What's the name of your podcast?
It's called the Quick Talk Podcast.
Awesome. And what are some of the things that you talk about in your podcast?
We talk about systems and about how to win and about how it's so hard and how you got to keep going. We talk about how you got to stay in the fire, how you got to lean into the pain, and how you're going to make it. As long as you don't quit the band before you get a record deal, you're going to make it. You can do it. Look, I try to encourage people, and I look at myself as an encourager. So the podcast does that, but it also breaks down very specific, practical, real-life ways you can add systems and automation into your business and life.
Very cool. All right. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this interview with you, Josh, and I know our listeners out there that when this episode is released, they will enjoy it as well. I am going to encourage our listeners to connect with you through your website as well as through your app, and, really be intentional, as you so graciously reinforced for us in this interview, to connect and follow up with their customers. Because I do believe, I think the statistic says that it's like 2 times cheaper to, re-engage your past customers than it is to attract a new one. So with that in mind, your current customers are a gold mine for your business, and you should really definitely try to keep in contact with them.
Oh, so true. And that statistic, by the way, is 8 times. It's 8 times more expensive to get a new customer. And look, it's a fact. I lived it in my own business. And the deal is we look at our customers like a gazelle, and we're a lion, and we have to eat the gazelle, and then we have to find a new gazelle to eat more meat, right?
Yeah.
As soon as we work with them and they give us a check, we're like, all right, I need more, and we forget that they're really not, it's not like that. It's more like a garden. And they're more like a tomato plant. Each customer is a tomato. But look, we got to water the plant. You got to make sure that, you're taking care of things. It's getting the nutrients. And it's not hard. People just don't do it. It's mind-boggling to me. You can literally double your business without getting any new customers just through being intentional on a follow-up and engagement and referral strategy with your current book of business. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. All right. Well, thank you again, Josh. Just for those of our listeners that are listening to this episode, just reminding you that if you'd like to connect with us further, you can join our private Facebook group, and that's Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And you can follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. So we look forward to having you again on our show. We look forward to connecting with you further. And we want to just extend a gracious thank you to Josh again for taking time to sit with us today and sharing just this world of experience on connectivity, entrepreneurship, having great systems, and just building a business that is providing a quality customer experience, regardless of where you are in the world.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Awesome. So I'm your host, Yanique Grant. Until next time. We really appreciate your support of this podcast. Are you ready to grow your business even more? Or improve your leadership skills? Or train your team members in the art of customer service? Give us a call at 305-848-0815 or visit our website at www.yaniquegrant.com. That's YANIQUEGRANT.com. Remember, 305-848-0815 or visit our website at yaniquegrant.com. Our new online course, Mastering Customer Experience and Increasing Your Revenue, is now available. The link for this will be on the show notes of each episode starting September 7, 2016. The first 2 modules are free, so hop on over, have a look, and take the steps to increase your revenue.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.